Okay, people, huge stuff to talk about in the One Piece world, in particular with the release of chapter 1024. We got a lot to say. For starters, we got some Usopp stuff that, I ain't gonna lie, Usopp, he's a troll, absolutely, with what he does, but at the same time, there's something that majorly can be taken from the actions of the beginning of the chapter with Usopp and all of his shenanigans. We're gonna talk about it, but also in this chapter, we got some Yamato versus Kaido continuing, and the heartbreaking flashback that, I ain't gonna lie, there's definitely a lot of depth to what went down in that chapter. Hands down, there's more than meets the eye to a certain degree that I could understand with the whole big argument that recently happened within the community regarding Yamato, in particular the whole gender situation. I can understand how somebody could take what is going on in this flashback and the way Kaido was treating Yamato and that whole situation and kind of see it as a metaphor to a certain degree of a father that is unhappy with the choices that their child has made. So we're gonna dive into that because it definitely felt to a certain degree like a metaphor. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm bugging out, and if I am, so be it, but it definitely felt like it was metaphoric. Also something huge, Ushimaru, fam, Ushimaru, really? Like, have you ever seen the drawing that Oda did of old Zoro? Ushimaru, like, woo! We've got a lot to talk about, and not to mention Ryuma, but we got a lot to talk about with One Piece. I mean, I ain't gonna waste your time, people. It's time to talk a little bit about that One Piece Great balls! Let's do it, baby. No matter how you move, get it done. 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 So yeah, people, like I said in the beginning of this chapter, a lot to dive into. Definitely some things that kind of feel like obvious reveals at this point with everything that we've gotten thus far. But then also there's some stuff that you can infer, and just in general, a lot of tragic stuff. Like, if you don't like Yamato at this point, if you're not on the hype train of Yamato, if you're not sympathetic towards Yamato, if you just in general ain't rocking with Yamato, I don't know what you smoking, fam. I don't know what you smoking, because beginning to rebel against your father, on top of the fact that your father is Kaido, you know, got a big deal up in these streets, you know what I'm saying? Like, just major stuff. And then Ushimaru, like, oh, start off the chapter with Usopp, because there's a shadowy figure that is dropping motherfuckers like flies, seemingly, and it seemingly is like some sort of Conqueror's Haki. And the mysterious figure says, "You won't be able to remain conscious while standing in front of me. I am the man who defeated 2 of the Tobiropo." Oh my god, Usopp, the hilarious nature of it. And it's kind of funny, or not even just funny, it's very interesting at that you're getting this comedic aspect, right? Because then it's revealed that it's Usopp, that, you know, he's just trolling people, talking shit and all that jazz, but it's really because I believe it was Speed that said, no, Big Mom's Conqueror's Haki is like leaking everywhere, and that's why everybody's falling out. But notice, while everybody's falling out, Usopp is still standing amongst Big Mom's Conqueror's Haki that is bleeding everywhere all over the place. That's something to be noted. That's to showcase yet again, Usopp is that dude. Now, I'm not saying that he has Conqueror's Haki, but if he's able to withstand Big Mom, we're getting there. Honestly, I feel like it's inevitable that we're going to have to get a time skip at some given point to where Usopp, everything he said he is, everything he's done, just like all the other lies coming to fruition, that's going to come to fruition as well, where he's going to show up and he might have the Conqueror's Haki. This might be the very small inklings of it, even though again it's a joke. It's really Big Mom's Conqueror's Haki that is knocking all these dudes out. The fact that Usopp is maintaining and sustaining himself and not falling over and doesn't really look to be much affected by it does say something about Usopp. It does say where he's at right now. He's been through a lot of shit, and he could actually have the Conqueror's Haki, and it's just like a hidden ability in him. I don't know. I think that would just be awesome. I rock with Usopp. He's one of my favorite Straw Hats. Then we got Nami contacting Frankie on, you know, what's going on, trying to figure out what's up with Luffy and things like that. And it seems like a lot of people are just continuing to try to make sure that nobody interrupts the Sanji and Zoro versus King and Queen fight, which unfortunately this chapter really didn't house much of that. Now, that was something I guess felt like a little bit of a shame of, like, damn, I want to see all of that. I want to see every last drop of that battle. I hope Oda doesn't off-screen some shit and we cut back and like they're all damn near to the ground and Zoro hits one final, like, no, I want all of that. So even though, yeah, he's giving inklings of like, hey, they're protecting, you know, Frankie and all of them, they're making sure everybody stays out of the fight. I want to see the fight. I don't just want to see people staying out of it. And then once again, just shout outs to Robin, because we got to another part, and I believe it was like the 3rd floor if I'm not mistaken, and Black Maria is 100% defeated, and Brook is running while holding Robin. You know, they're getting out of the area at that point, but just yet again, the fact that it's confirmed that Robin took her out, her crazy
nasty, ghoulish, nightmarish devil form that she took was freaking epic, and it actually took out a Tobiropo. Now we could start to have the debate, because a lot of people, they counted Robin out. They slept on Robin. Oh, you know, she's cool and all, but no. Look, she took her out. Yeah, she's a little messed up and shit like that, but imagine again, like I keep saying about time skips, imagine another time skip where Robin has time to perfect and continue to develop that type of ability. If she's able to take out a Tobiropo now, what could she possibly do down the road? But it seems like people are starting to little by little meet up again. Like, y'all know how every One Piece arc, but it's been done like multiple times at this point in Wano, because then Brook runs into Jinbei, they link up, so little by little all the Straw Hats are going to get together, which is probably leading into one final front. You know, everybody getting together to finally put an end to this. Because like I've said before, I'll say it again, now it looks like we're really headed towards the climax, the end, the final bouts with everything that's going on. Because, I mean, for starters, Luffy has already fought Kaido multiple times. Like, this has to be it. But also now everybody's little by little linking. Zoro and Sanji are fighting together. Yeah, I think we're finally headed towards the climax. And it's kind of crazy that not everybody is aware of what's really going on. Like, Jinbei's wondering, like, well, who's been stopping Kaido from coming to the 4th floor this entire time? Like, what's going on there? It's a baddie, okay? It's a baddie, a controversial baddie at that in the One Piece fandom, but nevertheless, a badass Mamojima. And I mean, we see more of the scabbards, like, you know, we see Kawamatsu is stopping Kaido's people from running away. So again, we're seeing where everybody's at and what everybody's up to, little by little. Just again, Oda's making sure to cover every base. But then we cut to one of the biggest parts of the entire chapter, because we cut to Yamato versus Kaido, still fighting on the rooftop of Onagashima. And yo, you gotta give props to Yamato, and on top of that, also admit that she really is like Oden, fam. Like, this is some high tier level. She's fighting her father. Granted, she might lose in the end. Granted, Luffy and Momo might have to come and save her ass by the end of all of this. But the fact that she's fighting against Kaido, something that really not many people in this world, in the One Piece world, can actually even attempt to do, let alone she's actually doing it, that says something. You could throw the argument in there that beneath it all, because I still think that there's a lot more to Kaido than meets the eye. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere within himself he's actually holding back. Just keeping it real. I know somebody is gonna say, oh no, but he said he's trying to kill her. That's still his daughter. You still see that he wants to make her like part of the Shogun and shit like that. I almost can guarantee that somewhere within him, he still isn't completely going all out against his daughter. That's not to say that she's not keeping up with him, but I don't think, like, if Kaido wanted to end this, I think he probably could have. I think he could have, if he wanted to really just kill Yamato right there, I think he possibly could have. I think he's holding a little bit back, because again, we've seen that he does have within himself somewhere some caring. That's his daughter, that he wants her to be in a position, and if you're going to rebel against me, then I'm going to kick your fucking ass. But I don't completely agree with that. Kaido is just absolutely heartless. I think he's playing a role, and at the end of the day, you want to say you're Oden, I'm going to teach you a lesson, and I'm going to be heartless. But yeah, I'm sure throughout all this time, if he really wanted to, he could have killed his daughter. He could have killed Yamato. And Yamato's using arrow attacks against Kaido. Like, shit is going nuts, and I'm loving every minute of it. And the way the anime has been slam dunking shit, I know this is going to be absolute fuego, fire, flames, amazing when they animate it, because it already looks dope in the manga. But she gets knocked back thanks to an attack, and then ultimately Yamato tells Kaido, you wanted to kill me, which again, I just don't buy it. I know what's being said is there, I understand that. I just feel to a certain degree that there's some bullshit in there, and it's not from Yamato's part. I do think that she believes wholeheartedly that her father's trying to kill her. I don't think that Kaido is trying to actually do it. Like, don't get me wrong, yeah, that's Kaido's daughter, so you can expect a certain level of strength, tenacity, and all that jazz. I still don't think that you're matching up against your father, especially, it's not like, I mean, yeah, throw the argument in there that he is kind of weakened. He fought against the scabbards, he fought against Luffy, he fought against the, you know, some of the people from the worst generation, so there's that argument that, yeah, he's a little run down, but I don't know. But Kaido goes along with this, says, yes, it's not just a family fight. If you want to call yourself Oden, then you better be ready for war. Because at the end of the day, him and Oden, they beefed. Even though he had a certain level of respect for Oden, still, I came, I conquered. I'm a pirate. I came, I conquered Wano. Onagashima is mine. This is all my shit. So, you're Oden? Remember what I did to Oden, fam. And Yamato, which I really like that. And it almost, again, feels somewhat like, you know, realistic situation, because she said, what's wrong with having respect for somebody? You know, I love Oden, and it's just kind of like, yeah, if you admire somebody despite the opposition, why can't you respect what your child admires and looks up to, even if you have a beef with them? If they inspire your child to go this far, right? Yamato's somewhat impressive on the battlefield and shit like that. Maybe if it wasn't for the admiration that Yamato had for Oden, they might not have gotten this far. But we cut to the flashback of, it was about 20 years ago, go. They're in the entrance of Onigashima where that dragon statue, that ace, all of that jazz. And basically, you know, back then, yet again, after Odin's death, which for somebody like me that I'm currently catching up with the anime, I'm towards the tail end of the Odin stuff. I just seen him again, you know, dancing in the streets of Wano and shit like that, which, ooh, that enrages me. But seeing that in the anime as I'm marathoning, catching up, and then reading about yet again right after Odin's death, oh, it hurts. It hurts, mate. But because back then Yamato claimed, yo, I'm Odin, started calling themselves Odin, ultimately Kaido chained and I don't want to say enslaved, but basically jailed Yamato. Her right eye is swollen. She was starving. Basically, he did her in, you want to be Odin, you're going to get treated as such, which it demonstrates a certain level of like, yo, first of all, it's abuse, hands down, of course, as your kid, but it also showcases that, again, if he wanted like, oh, you're Odin, I'm gonna kill you right there, he could have. Like, that was, you were a child at that point. So I feel like it's a lot of frustration, and the piece of shit that Kaido is, this is how he's handling it. Well, he could have killed right there. You're Odin, I'm gonna kill you. There, done. But right here, big plays, because Kaido says, you've got the Conquerors, basically confirming, yo, Yamato is next level shit. Yamato has Conqueror's Haki, and you have talent, but if you keep calling yourself Odin, you will die, because yeah, he's trying to teach her a lesson. And basically he tied her in this cave and left her there with 3 swordsmen that were very strong, that were defeated by Kaido. And again, this is all part of which, you think about it, holy shit, talk about like, if your kid disappoints you, fam, like, you know, my kid disappoints me, it's gonna be like, I'm gonna give you a stern lecture, I'm gonna explain to you, fam, like locking them in a dungeon with some of your worst enemies, your kid, like, Kaido, yeah, you're crazy, you're nuts. But Kaido talks to the swordsman and basically tells him, yo, if you bow to me, yield to me, I'll let you join my army. That's simple. I'll free you from here and let you go. And he even put some swords on the ground, which really questionable. Like, why? Like, I get it, like, in the terms of things, like, it makes it so that, oh, they got swords now, swordsmen with swords, your daughter, she's gonna get scared, maybe, something like that. So I could understand that aspect, but at the same time, you know what type of people they are. If they're, like, the greatest swordsmen of Wano Kuni, you're giving them swords, you're giving them a way out. Like, flat out. So the fact that he did that also makes me question certain aspects. Again, I don't want anybody to mistake throughout this video that I'm trying to say that Kaido is a good person. Kaido is an absolute piece of shit for everything he put his daughter through. What I'm saying is, there's somewhere in there some type of remorse that he does by his actions in subliminal ways. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I definitely feel like these small little gestures that he's doing is not necessarily what you think. Because on top of that, if he knows that they're righteous people, right, they're swordsmen, and even if they hate Kaido, he knows more or less if they're righteous samurai, they're gonna have that pride, and they're not gonna be like, yeah, let's go kill a little girl. So right there, that's him deducing that, let me give these swords, and if he's thinking in his mind like they're righteous, they're not gonna kill my daughter, then why give them these swords? I'm just saying. And Yamato begs Kaido to let her go, but Kaido is like, yo, but aren't you Odin, right? Basically, once again, with his really fucked up lesson. And Yamato sits there in the cave and thinks like, yeah, even though I'm calling myself Odin, I'm technically Kaido's child, and these people hate Kaido, they might try to kill me, this might be a wrap. Ultimately, a very dark time. I ain't gonna lie, this is one of the most saddest flashbacks that I've seen for a kid in One Piece. And don't get me wrong, there's still others that I will probably put above it, like Law had a really bad one, Robin, all of that jazz, but this is up there. Locking your daughter after chaining her up and abusing her and starving her, blacking her eyes, swelling her eye, locking her in a cave with people that hate you, that's pretty fucked up. Kind of reminiscent, I guess you would say, of like Sanji's in a way, because something similar happened where Sanji disagreed with his parents. Boom, judge locked him up. And as Yamato is there starving and thinking it's over because one of the samurai stand up, apparently the samurai hands Yamato some food and says, eat. Samurai don't need to eat, we don't get hungry, which ties all into stuff that Oda has been having for a long time, ever since, you know, we got the introduction to Kinemon, Kanjuro, and Momonosuke about like, yo, we don't need to eat, samurai don't need to eat. Like, I love that. This is shit that was planted hundreds of chapters ago, years ago, and it's still very relevant, very prevalent, and it's very subtle. It's just something that, hey, this is a quirk that the samurai of the One Piece world, which there's many vast characters all over the One Piece world, this is a quirk that they still still retain even in these past flashbacks hundreds of chapters later. Like, Oda on some goat shit. And Yamato cried and ate the food and said, I will never forget this for as long as I live the rest of my life. And this once again shaped Kaido. Like, if Kaido's whole idea was, I'm gonna really make her so scared and traumatize her to follow me, it backfired, because he put her with some good people that ultimately were going to shelter her and nurture her to a certain degree. Obviously they're in a fucking cave and shit like that, but you just pushed her even more to think like, no, you really are a piece of shit. Odin's that dude, you're scum. And then one of the samurai stand and cut her chains in a very similar fashion to the way Zoro be cut. And I'm just saying, yo. And Yamato asked the samurai, what is your name? And of course, because again, that samurai pride, he says, a defeated samurai has no name, call me unknown, which is yet again some breadcrumbs of mystique. You know, Oda leaving it mysterious at the end of the day so that we are left to think, well, who could this potentially be? Definitely leading to, again, this is the Wano Kuni arc. This is Zoro's arc. Who the fuck else is it gonna be? I mean, don't get me wrong, Oda could throw the curveball and a half and the motherfucker's not related to Zoro at all, or maybe it could be Zoro's uncle, it could be Zoro's grandfather, who the fuck knows? But, I mean, he looked very, very similar to Zoro in some of these panels, and as well, Ryuma, I'm just saying. Because, I mean, right after they have that speech, you look at his face, yeah, he resembles Zoro, baby. And there's also a bandage on his left eye, and it's not confirmed, but come on, fam. We've gotten so many breadcrumbs, we've got so much foreshadowing at this point that he's probably that Ushimaru dude. That's probably him. And because of, you know, everything that just went down, remember, this is a flashback. This is Odin's death is fresh. They sympathize with Yamato, and they agree, yeah, we love Odin too. Following that, Yamato showed them Odin's journal, which again, even a fucking journal. Yo, Oda, oh my god, I know I do it and I don't really care because I have fun. When I talk about One Piece, I talk about it from a place of love and admiration. If there is a point where I need to criticize it in a harsh fashion, then I will do so. But I talk about One Piece because I love this shit so damn much. I love One Piece a lot, and yeah. And Yamato basically says, hey, can you read this? Can you teach me how to read, you know, this writing? And ultimately the samurai even went that far as to teach Yamato how to read, how to read, you know, the journal, which ultimately leads down the road of, man, just so many things that tie up. Like this right here, this whole event in this chapter was really tying into everything that Oda had set forth regarding Yamato, their, you know, connection and passion and love and admiration for Odin, and how it even further transcended from childhood to now. But 10 days following, Yamato was getting weak because, you know, Kaido was basically like, no food for you, bitch. I'm gonna give it all to Big Mom's fat ass. And Yamato was basically on the verge of dying and weak and saying, yo, if I could live for 20 years into the future, because, you know, that was when supposedly the fated battle of, you know, the scabbards and everything was supposed to go down, I will live for Wano, making a pact and a vow. However, Ushimaru said, we will help you, 20 years is too long for us. And he takes off his kimono, draws his two swords, and come on, he gotta be related to Zoro, whether it be that Zoro's father, uncle, whatever, he gotta be, he has to be. And oddly enough, he had the same symbol on his back as Kyoshiro. And like they said, you know, 20 years is too long for them to wait. They break out of the cave to go off to fight Kaido, and oh my god, I wonder how Oda is gonna tie all this in to give us that confirmation. Like, are we gonna see Ushimaru again? Is Ushimaru still alive somewhere? Like, is there a possibility? Like, there's just so many threads out there of like, Oda could do this, Oda could do that, Oda could tie this. And then the flashback ends, but I just gotta say that Oda did a phenomenal job with that shit too. It gave me a lot more of an appreciation for Yamato. It gave us more of these breadcrumbs of Zoro's heritage that we've been waiting so freaking long, 1,000+ chapters to find out everything about Zoro. It's starting to come together little by little. It gave us again that determination that Yamato had set forth. It provided a lot, and on top of that, it made me like Yamato even more and confirmed even further Yamato for Straw Hat, because what's one of the check marks to being a Straw Hat? You gotta kind of have a sad past to go along with everything. But we come back to the present, and once again, Yamato is asking him, basically, again, it's a father-daughter relationship. Like, you could honestly look at it, and what I was saying earlier in this video, I understood to a certain degree why some of those people that were pissed off about the gender thing, I understand to a certain degree that if you look at this fight, it's almost as if it's a metaphor of a father that is angry and disappointed for the decision that Yamato made to be Odin, aka a man, and is trying to punish her and teach her like, yo, what you're doing is wrong. wrong. So you could metaphorically look at it like that too. I get why some people identify with that. And it kind of looks that way to a certain degree. I mean, Vivre card information aside, it does feel in that realm. I mean, even, you know, in the official translation, when Yamato is attacking, saying there's people that accept me and believe in me and all that jazz. Yeah. And when Yamato is asking Kaido again, why did you take my freedoms away? Why? Kaido kind of basically just almost little brothers, or basically, hey, you're my daughter. You don't understand. You're too young, because life isn't a series of simple questions and answers. Basically saying you're too young to understand why I do what I do. And they clash with a Thunder Baguya, which is kind of crazy because it looked like for a moment there, like, yo, they're on equal footing. I'm just saying, although again, I go back to it that I feel like that's his daughter. Kaido, in his own really fucked up and twisted way, does have some remorse, probably does have some loving and caring for Yamato. Do not forget that he wants Yamato to be a part of the Shogun. He would probably shit himself in happiness, piss himself in happiness, if Yamato was to look at him square in the eye and say, yo, I'm done with the Odin shit. All right, father, you win. I want to be in your image. I want to be a part of the Shogun. He would fucking jump for joy. He would say, okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. And probably give her a big ass hug and cry and drink. But honestly, overall, phenomenal chapter yet again. It feels like every fucking chapter, Oda is dropping banger after banger. 10 out of 10. Very curious what you guys think. Big question, is that Zoro's pop? Like, is Ushimaru, which it looked like Ushimaru, is that Zoro's pops? Is that maybe his uncle? Who is it? What's going on with Zoro's heritage? Again, this is Wano Kuni. We're gonna get it at some given point, whether it's here, now, whenever, we're gonna get it within this arc. Also, what do you think about the whole Kaido versus Yamato? Yamato's backstory. Does this even further confirm Yamato for Straw Hat? Usopp being able to sustain himself in the midst of Big Mom's Conqueror's Haki that's leaking everywhere. And your overall thoughts and expectations for One Piece chapter 1025 and beyond. One Piece greatness, baby. I love it. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And fam, I can't wait to find out more about Zoro's heritage. Shit is getting real.